Exel here with Game 5 of the Gauntlet for LCK, Africa versus Samsung. Just having to start this one a few minutes into the game, just due to time constraints. But it's 0-0. Everything's pretty close. Slight farm lead going over to Samsung by 300 gold. Series shaping up to be a real amazing one. We had Africa winning the first two games fairly convincingly as well, like really big stomps. And then Samsung, with the game even 20 minutes into it, gets a Baron which is with good positioning and good warding. They get an uncontested Baron, and then proceed to walk down and take out 5 turrets and 2 inhibitors with the same Baron power play, and proceed to win the game. And now they won Game 4, and they brought it to this Game 5. So very excited to go ahead and cast this, and I hope I have enough time. As I can cast a medium-term game here with the time constraints that I'm dealing with. But let's go ahead and see. The games have been ending probably middle to late 20 minutes. So I'll be right on the mark if past history is an indicator of future events. But we have Gnar with the predictable, a little bit of a farm lead onto Trundle. I imagine that Gnar picked into Trundle. I don't think Trundle would have picked into Gnar. Generally, as Trundle, you want to be picking up against a melee tank in top lane if you're looking to counter pick. So, picking against such as a Nasus, a Maokai, these types of tank tops. A Nautilus. That's where Trundle really shines. But here's a predictable 15 CS advantage for Gnar, and that allows the Kazakhs to go invade on the top side, because Trundle's pushed in so hard on the top for Africa that Samsung's able to run right through the jungle and get this early gank onto Orianna. But little did they know that Jarvan is right down below going for a gank of his own. So a little bit of dual ganking action. Both mid laners are taken down to about half health. And not a whole lot happening, but Orianna is definitely going to have to back, mostly due to lack of mana, not due to lack of health. And we're going to have to see what her first item buy is. Galio going for that ever-popular Dark Seal, refillable potion. So it's looking for that sustain to get to mid-game, get his ultimate. This is the 7.15 patch that the Koreans are playing under. Galio has since gotten a small nerf in 7.17, most notably into his ultimate, where the cooldown is less and the damage reduction of the team that you get of your own team when you're coming in is notably less. But in this patch, he's still super uber Galio, ready to smash mid lane and crush the game with his heroic dive. Trundle could be trying to back at this point. He's more than likely going to teleport and not wanting to miss any waves. He's already 13 CS down. He does not want that total to increase. And there he is, going onto this minion. And Huve trying to time the shot, but misses, and he's going to go ahead and back himself. Now, he's going to have a little bit of time that if he wants to... Oh, he's going to go ahead and teleport behind. He does have 6. I didn't see what the rage bar is at. It's pretty low, but that's still an early teleport at pre-7 minutes. That's going to be a 4-on-2 in bottom lane. And they're going to change it to a 5. Okay, so now that's 1 kill over from Lulu. Another a kill trading back from Tristana. And Galio being able to finish off Kog'Maw for a 2-for-1 in favor of Samsung. All the while... for Africa, they have Trundle pushing top. So yes, they did get an extra kill on bottom, but they're losing turret pressure up on the top. So Gnar is going to get back, but he's going to find his turret with about half or slightly less health. So not the end of the world. Oh, maybe not. It's still early in the game. Just lost a couple of waves, and the farm lead is now even. So Trundle's going to head back. He did just back recently, but is going to go ahead and pick up another item part to be able to try to fight this Gnar here in lane and going with a Ruby Crystal. So going very, very defensive. Some Trundles like to go like a Blade of the Ruin King, but his team is in need of tank, and he's just looking to sustain this top lane and hopefully not get bursted out. The scaling on Afrika is fairly strong with an Orianna and a Kog'Maw on their team. So Trundle going tank in the top lane, and even if Jarvan goes Cinder Hulk as well, if you are able to keep this Kog'Maw alive, and if Kog'Maw doesn't die any further than he has, then you're going to get a massive amount of damage coming from the mid to late game. But already dying once, going for attack speed. The traditional builds for Kog'Maw, they do vary. Some people like to go for a Wit's End for a first item. Other people like to go for a Runon's Hurricane. Some people even go for the Rage Blade. So the Rage Blade does give you a little bit of extra damage, a little bit more damage than these other items. The Wit's End is great as if you're against AP, which they are, if you can see that Karma. And the Runon's Hurricane is more of a mid-game item, which gives more team fighting ability. And wave clear, of course. Lulu getting some early poke on to the Tristana. Ambition was seen running right through that ward. Pinging it out. They see that both junglers are in the bottom side. Looking to pick up the Scuttle. It is an Ocean Dragon, so at 10 minutes they are starting to look at getting vision and getting control over this Dragon Pit. But not something that they necessarily want to focus on right away. A 600 gold lead for Samsung. And that's being concentrated in the Galio and the Tristana. So really effective people to be getting an early gold lead, especially on the Tristana. As you can see, got that early BF sword in the build path with Tristanas. You want to get a little bit of damage with that BF sword, and then you want to start building your attack speed items. The static shiv being the most important, where most people are finishing the Infinity Edge after the static shiv, but some people will go right into, let's say, a rapid fire cannon after the static shiv. It really depends. Most standard is BF sword, static shiv, Infinity Edge, then rapid fire cannon. So we're going to have to see, but seeing that attack speed dagger means more than likely going for that attack speed item second. Nara in the top lane prioritizing movement speed with those boots. Looking to either roam or be able to run up and hit Trundle with a number of boomerang shots. Seeing more and more pros these days go boots on their first or second back. Just prioritizing movement speed more than they ever have before. I can remember in Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, where some pros wouldn't even get boots until the 20-25 minute mark, and that's level 1 boots. Just prioritizing getting straight damage abilities, going for that full 2 items, AP or AD, depending on which build path you were going, and trying to get that early damage advantage. And who cares about movement speed? But now, so many pros are dodging abilities, and therefore that's their resistance is right there. Is if you can dodge an ability that would otherwise cause you damage, that's all the same as being able to stack armor or health points. And it's able to have an offensive component to it as well, by being able to get more hits off and get that last skill off, whereas with no movement speed you wouldn't have been able to. So Afrika has to know that something's going on, because they were pinging out middle, but where's this Galio? And they just found out he was getting Ocean Dragon. So it looks like Afrika is going around the Rift Herald, but not quite going to take it. Still got a long time at that at 13 minutes. Gold lead is at 1300 for Samsung, so keeping about the same small gold lead, but picking up that Ocean Dragon. So getting small advantages where they can, but you don't want this going to 40 minutes plus with the team comp that Afrika has. Samsung are going to look like what they did in Game 3 and Game 4, and getting the Baron and making their push for the base once getting that Baron. And it's worked for them the last 2 games, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be trying to repeat that in Game 5. But if Afrika can turn the page and is able to land the first Baron before Samsung can, then that's going to change the game up, and maybe that's what they need to win. Maybe this whole game is revolving around Baron, because that's what I'm saying. Any team that's getting Baron is winning this game. Although in Game 2, Samsung did get Baron, and Afrika was still able to win, but that's because Afrika still had a massive, massive lead, and it was already pretty much too late at that point. So the rule isn't perfect. It's only a most of the time type of rule. But first tower still hasn't gone down yet, and Gnar would just love getting that first turret and then being able to teleport somewhere for a teleport gank. Maybe into mid or into bot. Cataclysm going into the Orianna. Orianna using the command Shockwave defensively and getting out there without too much happening. I'm going to predict that Trundle is going to teleport back to this tower, not wanting to lose it. That first turret swing gold is pretty big, and he's realizing that if he goes back, that this turret is all but gone, and it's not what he wants. Gnar playing pretty defensively here, not wanting to get engaged on by the Trundle. There might be a slight chance for Trundle to get out, and he's doing just that. But the next push from Gnar is going to all but secure that tower. There, he even just did it before he went back. Lulu going down in the bot lane. Tristana being able to pick that one up. Able to tank all these turret shots thanks to the Karma E. And it looks like they're going to be taking a 2-turret lead very, very shortly. And not only that, 2 kills, 0 assists, 0 deaths, 1 assist for Tristana is exactly where you want to be at this point. I think that Tristana should be able to afford the rest of the Static Shiv here to go along with the Berserker Greaves, and that's going to be a very nice 1.5 item spike. And he absolutely has an Ardent Sensor finish for Karma, and this Tristana is now officially online at only 16 minutes. So a lot of trouble from this Samsung bot lane, as this is about as early as you can get your spike with Tristana. And all you have to do, kids, is get 160 farm in 16 minutes 40 seconds and 2 kills and an assist. So good luck with that. Normally it happens around the 20-minute mark. And normally you're not in such a big advantage over the other team at this point. But Kog'Maw did go Wit's End, so did go for the early laning, did go for early advantage onto Karma, and Jarvan just being able to do enough with the Cataclysm and finishing off with the Q of the Spear to get Gnar a little bit under control. So Kha'Zix can't see that this Rift Herald has been started because of the control ward placed by Jarvan. Now, when you place a control ward and then a vision ward is placed into the facility, the control ward negates the vision of the vision ward. So only now that they are moving in did they see that the Rift Herald has been started. But they probably want to stop this. Actually, as Samsung, they should really just turn back around and go on it themselves, and they absolutely do. And Kha'Zix is able to pick that up. So really, a very, very poor turn of events for Afrika. Not only have they lost the first two towers, but they lost the first dragon and Rift Herald here in this early mid-game juncture. Afrika trying to get something back on this bot turret, which is some, about 60-70% of the damage on it, but really their team is now very, very behind. 4,000 gold lead for Samsung, and really this is exactly how you want to be putting pressure on your opponent here at this juncture. Next dragon's coming up. Kha'Zix is already starting it. Let's see if he's able to lock that up, or okay. So vision was just put down by Jarvan. Does see that they're taking this, but don't think he's going to fight for it. Just going to go ahead and give this Wind Dragon up, and now that's going to be a 2-dragon Rift Herald and 2-tower lead by Samsung. They just keep adding on the advantages, and Afrika needs to hold on to this mid turret for as long as possible and not lose this Baron, because either one could be the beginning of the end for their team. Nara pushing heavily in the top, getting all kinds of pressure. Check that damage with that Black Cleaver. Being able to get Trundle down to half health with 2 skills. That is the lead that you're seeing right now. So I'm going to try to get some damage onto this mid turret. That is Samsung. Probably not going to be able to knock it down just yet. But focusing heavily on this bottom turret, and Tristana knocking down the towers just like she likes to. Teleport coming in from behind. We have Trundle. He's going to be trying to go in for this kill. He's up into Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix went invisible, jumped over the wall, and everyone's able to get out. So teleport for nothing, and not only that, they lose top turret and mid turret. What a terrible, terrible trade for Afrika. They're trying to get a play onto bot lane, and in turn they lose 2 turrets. Catastrophic. Look at all that gold going towards Samsung, and Samsung is closing the coffin. All the momentum on their side. Afrika is getting stomped at this point. They were looking good for about the first 10 minutes, looking even with the scaling comp, and Samsung is just putting pedal to the metal, just really taking this game over without too many chances. And it's really a sight to see, and what a series to cast. I'm so fortunate. I didn't know that this series even went 5 games. I didn't know about how close most of these games were, but just loving to cast this series, and we'll see if I can get a few more LCK games in the next couple of days. Alright, action around the Baron. Afrika is figuring that they need to make a stand somewhere. But they seem to be winning very hard the split push game, whether it's Gnar or Tristana. Galio being able to go and turn a disadvantage into an advantage. Very beautiful pillar there, being able to hamper the movement speed of Gnar. Gnar has the power up and is able to transform, and is that tanky monster that we know Gnar can get occasionally. A little bit of actually a little bit of perfect vision here for Gnar, having the 2 wards down. One of them just expired. Kog'Maw just hit that ever important 2-item spike. Really could use a Rage Blade added to that, but beggars can't be choosers, and Kog'Maw finally being able to be a team fighting force. with this Wit's End and Runon's Hurricane. Let's see if they can finally get this mid tower. Look at all that damage. That was just 2 or 3 shots being able to get Kazakhs down to half health. All these trades definitely being in favor of the Gnar every time he's taken them. Feeling very confident. What a great control ward placement there in their opponent's jungle. And basically making it so that Trundle has to back before being able to do anything major. Jarvan's thinking, oh, I don't think I'm going to go into that bush. I think I'll flag and drag out of here. Spirit, I think that's a wise choice. You don't want to be facing this Tristana without having any vision in your jungle towards that area. Ruler's finished Infinity Edge. Now with that ever important Static Shiv Infinity Edge, and then going for that Zeal third item. So is most certainly going for the Rapid Fire Cannon. And watch out when she gets it, because she can just fire from miles and do ungodly amounts of damage. Five kills in a game that's 24 minutes long on this this game 5. Just goes to show you it's not about the kills, it's about the thrills. And by thrills, I mean objectives. And with the speed, the on-hit movement, the slows from the Frozen Mallet, Gnar being able to come back and get that trade to almost even, but Marin's going to have none of that. It's going to go ahead and head back. This Trundle hasn't even died yet, and it's just getting pushed around constantly. And you're going to stay in the pocket until Gnar feels, you know what, I think I might jump away, but that's not going to be yet. One more shot, tower down. Marin can pick this up. That would be very big. Flashes in for it. Not going to get it. This is going to be Kuve's day. Watch the kill. First time's a charm. That's on Marin flashing in to try to pick up that kill. You've got a tank build, and you're trying to make plays. So I know the team felt like they had to do something. Very good by Kuro, but that's going to be all for naught. There, they're turning it. We have Galio luring up for the heroic strike. Being able to come down onto the Tristana. Tristana following the Jarvan. How an unusual turn of event with the red buff. Tristana able to turn that damage right back around onto Afrika as they come in and take a look at this Baron. And they're going to go right back on it and just watch this Baron explode down with this Tristana hitting it. But they're playing the smart, careful game. Not wanting to go too hard. The teleport is up from Trundle. And their Gnar is down, so they don't want a 5-on-4 by any means. They could really win any 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. They just don't want an outnumbered advantage. They have such a lead here at 7,600 at this mark. They should be able to burst it down right now. There they go. They get it. The ever-important Baron has been in this series. Going over to Samsung. And then this time, many less turrets to have to destroy. Really, probably the best maneuver would be to push down mid lane, get this outer turret, and then kind of focus on a bot lane, mid lane push. Frika shouldn't be able to defend it. So they're instead going for a 1-3-1 push with having one person in the top, one person on the bottom, 3 middle. But that's quickly changing that the 3 people in the middle look like to be rotating to Dragon. So they're having a little bit of miscommunication, but they seem to have agreed on now a 1-2-1-1. 1 top, 2 mid, one at dragon, one at bottom. So they're really spreading out the field. They have good vision on Afrika's red side. They just want to push as many Baron and powered minions as possible. Jarvan going way deep, and really he can't be taking that much damage against Tristana. Having that Cinder Hulk and Knight's Vow is decent tankiness, but it's not that much tankiness. 2 levels down is Jarvan from Kha'Zix, and that huge farm differential at 44 CS. 2 levels. Galio, now those are tank items. Bizzle Bask, Frozen Heart, Gargoyle Stoneplate, upgrade of boots. Now he can go in and cause a storm. Also look at that CS difference and that level advantage compared to Jarvan. And he could do some real hurt. Wow, look at that crit. That's 2 shots that he just hit Kog'Maw with. Down to 1/3 life. 2 hits. Shield going up for Karma. They're going to get this turret. They're looking to take down inhibitors now. Ambition pushing those minions in so he can get Baron and power minions coming down into the base. And really, Afrika can't fight everywhere. They have to probably give 1, maybe 2 inhibitors up, possibly fight for the top. They can't give 3 inhibitors up. I know it'd be very difficult to stop it, but they should really fight for this top one. Not able to do too much, and that's because of all the super minions and Baron and power minions being able to being pushed right into Afrika's base. So if they go hard into the top inhibitor, let's say Ruler or any one person could be pushing down Nexus turrets on the bottom while the other 4 fight for the inhibitor. So really a lose-lose situation for Afrika, and they just got to decide, are they going to go out with a bang or are they going to go out with a whimper? That is the decision. Spirit says, no! I'm the jungle man! I will cataclysm you! And Kuve says, not today, hey, 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 I got flash, and I get out of your way. So they once again, let's recap that Baron power play that they've done once again. They've taken 2 mid turrets, a top turret, so 3 turrets and 3 inhibitors. Wow, that is efficiency for a Baron power play. Honestly, I'm happy when we get 1 inhibitor on my games, but Samsung isn't happy unless they get 2 inhibitors with a whole bunch of towers. So it's just finishing off this as cleanly as possible. Really, Samsung doesn't need to do anything special. They've already done all the hard work. They got that Baron uncontested because of their ability to poke and keep decent vision and have control over the top side of the map. And they're just going to push these supers right into base. Afrika knows they can't do everything. They'd like to fight with these 2 turrets, but these 2 turrets are really only a quick 2 or 3 seconds of Samsung poking on them to go down. Look at that static shiv burst. It just bursted everyone for like 10% of their health. The double knockup with the Cataclysm. Jarvan went in and getting reverse CC'd by the Galio. Crown knocking that up, sending it up for Ruler. Ruler, you did so amazing this game, and this team is just going to finish off. And the ace. Stacking that score line at the end. And got to hand it to these guys. Going down 0-2. Coming back. And in the fashion that they did, they went down 0-2, and they did not look good at all. There was very few redeeming qualities in these first 2 games. I didn't cast them, but I did watch them. Kind of made me want to cast the games. That's why I started casting Game 3. after watching these first 2 games. And gotta hand it to the bot lane of Samsung. Ruler, Core JJ, doing everything that you need to do with a Tristana Karma lane. Also, the split pushing monster threat of Gnar was, even though only got a kill onto Marin in the top lane, over like the 25 minute mark was his first kill onto him, but was getting all kinds of turrets and all kinds of damage, getting a CS lead, getting a level lead, and just causing all kinds of split pressure for his team. And so it's hard to choose between an MVP there. Probably the flashier would be the Tristana and Ruler, but I'm gonna give it to Cuvée. I'm gonna give Cuvée on Gnar the finals Game 5 MVP. Exel, thumbs up, high five, behind the back, player of the game. And I'd love to see what OGN has to say about that. Who do the pros at LCK give the player of the match to? And here we could say these are both the standouts, Gnar and Tristana. But for a top laner to get almost as much as the AD carry for damage-wise is pretty strong. Because if they switch to total amount of damage tanked, you're going to see Gnar way eclipse the Tristana in that statistic. So that's just pretty amazing. It just goes to show you how well Cuvée did on Gnar this game. And you got to look to the counter pick. You got to look to Gnar playing against a melee champion. So that's what you do if you're picking a ranged champion against a melee. It's not all about kills. You just got to go ahead and knock your opponent out of the lane and get damage on his turret. Get a farm lead. Keep building those items. Have those slight item leads and create pressure on the map. While you're doing it, throw some wards out. Get your jungler to invade your side, especially if you're top lane, your top side. And wow, I can't wait to watch this. KT versus Samsung. That's the next series. I think I'm gonna try casting it. Maybe try a game later on today, and possibly tomorrow. So I don't know how many games it goes, but I think I'm going to go ahead and cast these games for you. I was told who wins this. Unfortunately, my esports watching friends, they're always up to date on what's happening, and they always assume that I'm up to date as well. But sometimes I just want to cast it without knowing who the victor's going to be, because it gives a more fluid cast, a more natural cast. So I will attempt to forget that. I won't be taking any narcotics to do so. Look at Papa Smithy. I just love the expressions on his face. He is a true master, and you know, he was happy how this series went, and just a pleasure to be there. You could tell sometimes when he's casting international games that he really doesn't want to be there, and they're such terrible games of what he's used to casting. But, well, we're not going to see an MVP, and so long, Papa Smithy, and so long, all Exel, casting once again for you, League of Legends.